Hey there, coach. I just wanted to share an exercise that I think that we could practice at any of our trainings, and I think this could help us tremendously, both offensively and defensively, because you practice not only clearing zones, how to get past the defensive line, but also you practice defending in the aspect of like defending in line, etc. So basically, like this was one that they taught me, which was where you have two teams and defenders in the middle and another team on the other side. Basically, you can switch these players out. Like usually, it's by time. The players who are in the middle are timed, and this is just, for example, since there's three and there's two, I would say this would probably be like maybe a 3 by 5 meter or something like that. And basically what happens is that on this line, the defenders cannot move. What does this represent? This represents like a defensive line. It could be the defensive line of the center backs and the right backs. It could be a defensive midline. You decide. It's just a defensive line. And basically what happens is like one side has the ball, has a ball, and they have to try to get it to the other side without these guys touching the ball. And how do you do that? I would remember like the way that this was taught to us was we'd pass the ball, and the defenders would notice that the smartest way to defend is to defend together, because once you were together, you could not get the ball through. It was more hard to get the ball through and to get past because you worked as one single block instead of two separate smaller blocks. So it was like one big block moving from side to side that helped defend. And that basically teaches the concept of what a defensive and midfield line does during the game. While we're defending, we're like a line in the back that has to help. That obviously has to communicate within each other, and you learn how to come out and what's the right angle to come out and how much space you have to close for the ball to not be played in between you guys. So once the defenders start realizing that they have to play together, usually the players with the ball will realize that the easiest way to play the ball across, to play the ball to the other side, is by holding the ball on one side of the field, which this usually brings both defenders, and leaving this whole space open. And what this does is that you leave the outside third, the vertical third, open, and it's a free passing lane for the left back, let's say, or right back, or whatever you want. And basically, this can be translated onto the field in an 11v11, because if you watch players such as Boateng, Sergio Ramos, when they send their long balls, it's usually from one side where they've accumulated players from the other team, leaving their winger from their other team, which, for example, I remember Spain was playing, I think it was Iran, their left winger was Isco. Ramos would have like a totally open, free man, which was Isco, and he'd play the long ball. And what does that do? You accumulate players here to play to the other side, and that's an easy way to beat the defensive line. So that's in the aspect of offensive, but as a defensive line, you'll learn that you can't always be flat, because if you're flat, you can still get played easier. It's harder for the ball to get played, and you give the other team that you're defending, you give them more pressure if you come out just a little, and this creates a diagonal. So it's harder to play through balls. It's harder to play the ball through you guys, and basically in this exercise you can maybe even add, I don't know, four, and you could pretend that this is left back, center back, and right back, for example. But then obviously you'd have to add more players on both sides. You could probably add something like this. And one thing that players will notice the players with the ball will notice is that the faster you play the ball, the harder it is for the people who are defending to get it. Because if you hold the ball here for safe, and you've accumulated the players who've come out and who've defended right, You play the ball to the other side, and he takes one control is bad. The other, he just takes an extra, and then he takes 3 touches. By that 3rd touch, the other team is already set up, and this happens in real life games too. By the time you receive a ball and you've played many touches, you give time for the other team to get set up. And usually, when you're clearing zones or when you're playing past a line, it's better to do it while they're not organized, because, well, you can already imagine it's easier that way. And yeah, this is basically one of many exercises I think that could help us a lot in our defensive and offensive tactics.